The concept of one person fighting multiple opponents is something we see many times in movies. Historically, we have some weapons that are specialized for this task: the montante, the mangual, and the Jägerstock. The Jägerstock is a spear with two heads. Historically, it was the weapon of the artisans and the common man, a weapon to defend yourself with against multiple enemies, a weapon that would allow you to escape from a fight quickly. The source for the Jägerstock most people are familiar with is Johann Georg Pascha from 1657. In a set of drills, he teaches you how to wield this weapon. Interestingly, Pascha calls this weapon by many names: half-pike, baston à deux bois, and Springerstock. Springerstock, which we can translate into modern German as Springerstock or vaulting staff, is a piece of equipment we still find in modern times for crossing rocky terrain. The word Jägerstock also survived into our modern times, the tool still being used, once again, to cross treacherous terrain. These modern tools only have one pointy end, so why did the 17th century Jägerstock have two? One can speculate, but I assume it was convenience, as well as to enhance its function as a weapon. Of course, it's also possible that the Jäger in Jägerstock has something to do with the troop type of Jäger: skirmishers. Such a troop type could of course benefit from having something to traverse rough terrain. Techniques for the Jägerstock are varied. You have a multitude of thrusts, be it in front of you or behind you, as well as big strikes. The two heads allow you to stay threatening throughout, working perfectly in line with Pascha's advice to fight until you can find an opening and get to a position better suited to defend yourself. Pascha says that you can defend yourself this way against up to 30 people for 7.5 minutes. Whether this is realistic or not most likely depends on the stamina and skill of the staff user. The Jägerstock, or rather two-headed spears in general, are becoming ever more popular and have found their way into video games as well. We see a weapon like this in Elden Ring as well as in Dragon's Dogma 2, where we can see the main character perform a technique very similar to how Pascha describes the parry motions of the Jägerstock. Pascha wasn't the only one to talk about the Jägerstock. We also have Jacques Colombo from 1650, Matthias Schluter from 1674, and Louis de Gaia from 1678. Interesting to notice that both Pascha and Schluter use some of their drills interchangeably for Jägerstock and partisans. This could be an indication that the previously mentioned Jäger and Jägerstock actually does stand for the troop type of Jäger. One has to remember, the partisan was a military weapon. However, I should note that the term Jäger for a military unit only appeared about 20 years before Pascha wrote his book, so one should take this theory with a grain of salt. Sadly, there are no original Jägerstocke left. To practice the Jägerstock yourself, you don't need much. All you need is a stick with two weights on it. This is necessary as for the best performance the staff needs to weigh the same on both ends. Pascha says the Jägerstock should be as high as you can reach, which I assume to be the tip of your fingers. At this point I want to thank Oliver Janseps for letting me use some of his footage. If the Jägerstock interests you, you should definitely check out his series of videos on this awesome weapon. I'd also like to point you to the paper, The French Staff Material from Johann Georg Pascha by Olivier Dupois, which I used in my own research of the Jägerstock. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. We love talking about everything historical fencing. Thank you.